So what does it mean to be on your Grizzly? It means hard work, dedication, and it means progress beyond your Grizzly. Hard work, dedication, and progress.
I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. And if you're busy making moves, say it with me. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. I'm on my Grizzly, y'all. I'm on my Grizzly. And if you're busy making moves, say it with me.
Coming to you from the City of Angels, this is the Grizzly Podcast with Irvin Scott and Melissa Santos.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Grizzly Podcast. My name is Irvin Scott.
And I'm your host, Melissa Santos. What's up, y'all?
Today, we're joined by a special guest. We've got actor, stand-up comedian, writer, producer, our guy, Momo Rodriguez. He's best known for his role as Steve in the Mayans series. He's also known for his work in La Chamba. He was also the producer on George Lopez's Netflix special, We'll Do It for Half. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Momo Rodriguez.
Damn. Thank you. I sound...
Yeah.
Yes.
I sound like a powerful Chicano.
We're so
crazy.
happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. You know, it's crazy to hear like what one does, you know, for their passion. And, you know, it sounds so easy to read, but as you read, I could feel the heartache of each project. Like, man, they got me right there. They screwed me on that. I didn't get paid enough for this. Like you hear everything that happens to you. You're like, man, like, why am I doing this? You know, it's
because,
like, what's...
Because you're on your grind.
It was crazy. And then to be right now at a point where I did a show with guys I look up to be part of that cast, to be jumped. See, the best thing for any actor is to portray his worst moments on screen, because that shows his range. And as a comedian, Mayans gave me the opportunity to show the rawness that is me, which every comedian is raw. Every comedian is depressed as fuck, man. And to be able to portray that on screen was, it's still a bar now for what I'm going to do now. And it kind of sucks because you really can't go backwards now. I mean, I got homies in me, hey, let's do a sketch. And I'm like, bro, I'm like on a really cool show. I don't think I could do a sketch right now. Like, I want to. Thousands of sketch ideas, but now it's like, man, you don't want to go backwards anymore. And it sounds cocky and it sounds a little conceited, but I mean, that's what a comedian is, a good one, I think. If it's fun and it's not going to take away from money, yeah. This is my main income now. A lot of Latinos in the industry, we are known to be an entertainer and a second job. You know, if you watch Seinfeld, the TV show, it was about a comedian that his main job was to be a comedian. I mean, all the guys I know, it's rare that that's their main job, is to be a comedian. You know, we have to have some kind of other hustle going on to support our dream. And I finally decided to choose my dream as my main source of income. And that's scary because it's like, now you got to make sure whatever you do is going to give you a paycheck. And that's where you feel like you're offending people when like, hey, bro, can you do this thing with me? I'm like, I would do your bar in you know, Bellflower. I would love to, but I'm going to be doing the Improv next week, and every ticket that I get in goes to me. So as much as I would love to promote your little bar and support your dream and your journey, because I was there not so long ago, I got to pay rent now.
Yeah. This
is not a hobby anymore. And I feel so bad because people hit me up, oh, you're too good to come do a bar in Norwalk. No, I am not. Mm-hmm. But I can't, because it's going to cost me money to help you get your status. Sure. And, you know, I was in that situation. I was that guy that would call these guys, but now I'm like, damn, I was pretty bold to call these dudes to come to my little room. But I get it now. I get it. And you do have to have nights where you just show up, mm-hmm. you know, and go back to that grind. But I mean, it's like right now I'm in this weird limbo. It's like I'm not famous, you know, I'm not rich, but I have to pretend to be so the people can cast me.
I had seen you at a couple of events. We've done Antonio Pelayo, I think was the last time.
I love Antonio. I love that dude.
Antonio's phenomenal. We're trying to get him on as well. He's he works for Disney. He does everything. I mean, his hands in everything. He's huge advocate of the Latino community and putting them out there.
I have 2 Pelayo works in my house.
Do you? Yeah. He's a phenomenal guy. And that's the last time I saw you. And I think you might have been. It might have been the Selena project that you were gonna get casted for or something.
Oh yeah, they told me I was too old.
Yeah, did they?
What? Yeah,
you were like, I might be doing that.
That's another way to say fat, bro. That's what it was.
Wait a minute, were you auditioning for the role of A.B. Quintanilla or what?
I was auditioning for the part of Ricky Vela, the guy who plays the keyboard.
Okay.
I even know how to play keyboard. I was all like, and I look like the dude, but I think I was too voluptuous for the character.
It was too thick.
Yeah,
a little too thick in the hips, but that's
which
okay.
nobody in that whole show was too thick in the hips. That was the problem that I found with the show. I love Selena, man, but I don't know her. To be honest with you, I'm gonna cause some controversy right now, but
it's okay. We like controversy. Dale, Momo.
I grew up, listening to Selena, but not really. Like I didn't know who she was till she passed. Unfortunately,
same.
I mean, I think I was in 6th grade when she died. I was at 6th grade camp, and my boy Gabriel was like, "Hey, did you hear that Selena died?" I'm like, "Bro, I don't know who Selena is, homie. We're from California. We're not from Texas.
Yeah.
We're not Tex-Mex. We're over here listening to freaking Ice Cube 1993 with some Chalino in there, here and there.
Banda Limon on the side,
I was in Banda Limon.
I was going to ask you that. That's why I threw it out there. I was
man.
Going to say it. Yes.
No, dude, I was that kid that loved that music. And everybody, see, that was back then when everyone thought it was weird. So I kind of knew about Selena, but I was more like a fan of La Mafia.
Yeah.
Those bands. And, when I found out that all this shit happened and she died, I was like, it's sad. I just don't know her.
Yeah.
And now I see people like religiously love her. They weren't even born when she was singing. Like they were just like, they love Selena this, Selena that. I'm like, that's beautiful. She was a wonderful, wonderful person. And she was that crossover. She was a big thing for the community, but like, calm down. Like let her.
Yeah.
There's been so many other things that have been going on. And when you get a project greenlit something else. We've done two things about her. There's 2 series of Selena, one in Spanish and one in English going on right now.
It didn't personify what it was, and it had been done so well at one point. Then why are we going to have this like kind of off-brand generic like fit?
I love the Selena movie.
Yeah,
like I love
it was just done so well, and the writing was well, the acting was like, just leave it alone.
Yeah, basically Selena was Mi Familia remixed.
Yeah, you're right.
And it has, one of my good friends that I love so much, Jacob Vargas, was in Selena. He played Selena's brother. Amazing performance from Jacob. It was real. It was sincere. The person that played Suzette looked like Suzette. It was just a beautiful ensemble cast. Edward James Olmos, the fucking king of the Mexicans, played Selena's dad. He let his body become the character. Nobody would be a better Abraham than Edward James Olmos. Constance Marie played a young, beautiful woman to an older mother figure. She was the only one in that whole show that transformed throughout the years when you think about it.
Yeah.
Right. She was the only one. And then now when you watch a show, I'm not hating, but I am. I am an artist, and if you put art in front of me, I will critique the art.
Yeah.
As an artist, I'm allowed to critique other art. That's what I do. So if you put art in front of me, I'm going to say, that was nice, but I didn't think you guys should have done this. Number one, you should have casted Momo Rodriguez. That's where you first fucked up. That's where it went downhill. And now you're going to tell it to me in a different perspective. That's fine. But I already put her to rest. It's like redoing the Bamba.
The Selena movie came out. J-Lo was in it. It kind of like jump-started her career as well. After a while, you didn't really see much of Selena. Seriously, like you didn't really see much of Selena for years until the makeup line came out with Mac. And then I started seeing all the girls talk about Selena again. And then now the series came out, and now she's a big deal again. And like I said, and no disrespect to Selena.
She got a star. No, and then there's also talks about the second script. If you guys ever heard of that theory. So when they first shot Selena, the original, there was a second ending that talked about what really happened.
I know.
And then that just disappeared.
Another thing that kind of bothered me about the Selena series was that they also focused on Beyonce and how like Beyonce looked up to Selena and how they sort of had their moment when she saw her, with her mom or whatever. I mean, I just thought like, look, like, what does that got to do with Selena? I understand.
Right. Beyonce never looked up to Selena. Let's get that
Exactly.
straight right now. Okay. I mean, come on, bro. No, I'm Mexican. I didn't know who Selena was in that time. Nobody knew. I mean, I love the idea to give her that power. I love it because it's going to make young Latinas and Latinos feel strong that they matter. That's beautiful and that's sweet. But I'm also in the reality sense. I also am a dream maker. I'm a dream pusher. And I'm also a person that has my dreams broken every fucking day in this industry. So I'm not going to feed all those lies and say, look, it wasn't easy for Selena. People didn't even like her. People talk shit about her.
Yeah.
People booed her when she won awards. There's a video where she's being booed. And because they thought she was the big shit, I think it was the Tejano Music Awards that they all booed her. She's an American story because she's American. And I love the old Selena stuff, but I think we should just give her beautiful and just her
leave her alone.
Leave her alone for a little bit. Let's honor her. Let's not try to bring up shit about her drama. I mean, because look, what everybody you bring up shit, you find out some more things you don't want to find out. Let's just leave her alone as the queen of Tejano music and not dig into her past.
You are a multi-talented.
Oh, thank you.
Everything, and it's amazing. You are a true artist, true Renaissance man. Let's talk about La Banda. How the heck did that happen?
I was in band in high school and I played drums. I was a drumline captain. I played the snare. My teacher was a clarinet player and he would play with bandas on the side. This was during like when banda was coming to like El Farayon, all those clubs in the area, and banda was becoming like really popular. So they didn't have a drummer that night and he told me, hey, you know how to play paradiddles really quick.
Yeah.
Can you do a solo for a zapateado? And I started doing a zapateado solo. He's like, you know what? You're gonna come over tonight. I'm gonna train you. And then I was playing with all these different bandas, and I was known for my zapateado solos. And
see, for people who are not listening or who are now listening and tuning in and not understanding, the Blue Devils, just Google it. These are the best people in the world. And not just because I was in it, but I'm going to have to put myself over a little bit. The best dancers, performers, when it comes in that, like they are the top. Like, I mean, people are auditioning via video from like Japan and like different parts of the world to be part of it. So Momo was like, you are so good. Like this is a big freaking deal, dude. Like
it was crazy because that you wanted to be like you want.
I mean, for you.
It was like every band girl's dream was to fuck a Blue Devil.
I mean,
if I could put it like that.
Or band boys, because I mean, I was a color guard, and to be in there, my audition was 3 freaking days, dude. I was dying. I was the youngest one. I was still 17 when I made it in.
And like that's when it's crazy. Like you just. I mean, it was a lifestyle. So he was like, you're pretty good. Let's get you to the bandas. And I'm like, I don't really like the music. Like my family's from Chihuahua. We're more norteño, more like accordion based. So banda was more Sinaloa, not where my family is from. But then I was just in love with like the jazziness and the rudiments of the drumming. And I was like, I love this shit. And I would go deep into it to a point where I was part of all these different bands. And then, I mean, I was 16 and in the back of these clubs, they were doing drug deals, money laundering, narcos everywhere. And I'm like 16, just my teacher, like, stay in the green room. Don't go out there. Just don't go out there. But I'm making like $150 a night for a 16-year-old. It's fucking beautiful.
You're like rich.
Big money. That's a lot of money as a kid.
Hell yeah, man.
I mean, that was the thing. After that, it was just like, I love the music. I got into music. I started a band. My band was called Califas. We were signed by Thump Records. And it was a Spanish rock band. I was a singer because I was kind of like a young mariachi growing up. I had a voice. And I would just sing Spanish rock songs. And that was my dream, to be a fucking rock star. And got into writing. And when I got into writing, I was like, I don't want to write for people anymore. I want to write for myself. And one time I went up on stage, started doing stand-up, and I was like, I think I could do this.
From playing in the bandas and then like being inspired to write music, that's how you came to comedy. That's amazing.
I think I wanted to be a creator of art, and I think I was so into like just writing that I would join the diversity showcase at CBS. And I remember the casting director, I won't say her name, but she was the vice president of casting, and she told me, "You're not good looking enough to be an actor. You should focus more on being a writer or a stand-up. You'll do good as a stand-up." But you believe that. You believe that so much that you get transfixed on that. Okay, she's a mera chingona at a
she's important.
So she knows what she's talking about. She's maybe trying to help me. So I'm like, fuck it. I focused on writing. I focused on stand-up. And I've always been a dramatic actor. I mean, since high school, I was in the International Thespian Society. I was in plays. I was in theater. And then one day, after 15 years of stand-up, after touring the country with Carlos Mencia, touring the country with George Lopez, with the Metal Chingones of comedy, with T.L. Hughley, Cedric Entertainer, Eddie Griffin. I mean, I've toured with and written for the most chingones comedians in the world, icons. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do, just write. And then I get a phone call from like my manager. She's like, "Hey, I submitted you to tape for Mayans." And I'm like, they're not going to want me. They, from what I heard, based this character a little bit on me. But they weren't looking for me because they didn't think I was an actor. They thought I was a sketch actor, like a comedy actor. Because I once did this video of me mocking Mayans. So I did an interview. I did like a fake failed audition tape. And in the audition, I'm just talking shit about the Mayans. And I guess the writer and creator Elgin James saw the video, and he starts laughing and says, "This is the kind of character we need on the show." He wrote this character based on his best friend growing up, and he reminded him of, I reminded him of him. So they even wrote, "We're looking for a Momo Rodriguez type," and I'm like, well, why not just get Momo Rodriguez? But they were like, "You're not an actor. This is a drama series. This is this is a little more than we think you can handle." I mean, they never told me that directly, but I'm pretty sure that's the network's thought. So my manager submitted me, and she's like, "You know what? They want to give you a shot. Submit your tape." They gave me the most dramatic scene on the show, and memorized it in 5 hours. Taped it. I get a call back. They're like, "Let's talk to him." They have an interview with me on Zoom. At that moment, I had a stroke on my eye. And my eye couldn't focus. It was chueco. So now I had to do a callback audition with my eye fucking crooked. And I was seeing double. So I'm like, I'm not going to get the part. And that's how I got the part. And man, it was a whole transition for me. I had to become somebody else. Because if you see the series, Steve is not me. And I'm in this room full of amazing method actors, by the way. They're all method actors. Wow. So I talk about bullshit all day. I'm a comedian. So when I got off the car, I had to say to myself, let's leave Momo in this car. I was hazed my first day.
Jeez.
Wow. I show to set, and I get my costume, I get my makeup done, and I'm nervous in my trailer, like, are they out there? And the scene was we were all going to ride in together on a bridge. And we're at war with all the other clubs. And we're about to talk shit. It's a beautiful scene. The whole town is closed down. I show up, and I'm like, where are all the guys at? They're in a circle. They're sitting in a circle in the dark, and they have heaters in the middle, like a fire. And I'm like, cool, I guess I'm going to go sit over there. So I go in like a dork with coffee and a donut, trying to be all like, and I can't find my chair. My chair is in the middle. So my chair's in the middle. They're all in costume, quiet, looking at me in a circle. I sit down like, the fuck is going? What's about to happen? One by one, they start hazing me. And then Bishop, the one that plays Bishop, Michael Irby, gets up, the president, and he starts giving me this speech, like talking shit to me. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, all this stuff. And I go, he's like, are you ready to go out there? I'm like, yes, sir. Who the fuck told you could talk, prospect? And I'm like, man, y'all know this is fake, right? Like we're not really doing this. No, all of them were on. All of them were like on it. And he grabs me and he goes, we're about to go out there. And if any of these dudes, any of these guys out there, motherfuckers touch me, you're the first one that's going to be throwing blows. You hear me, prospect? I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Man, it was the most intense day of my life. But they made me feel like a prospect. And the whole day, I was watching their bikes. I was standing by their bikes. While they went to lunch, I stood by their bikes. I mean, I was a prospect the whole day. And then that was 6 months of filming like that. I stayed in character for 6 months.
That's intense. What are you thinking about at that point?
You become that guy that has to make that decision. Am I going to go full in? Or am I going to be that guy who's too insecure about going all in? That was the day I had to leave my insecurities behind. I had to let my confidence rise. I had to become everything that I wasn't, and to be that prospect. Like, I had to say to myself, you are this dude. Do not judge him. Do not react like Momo would, because Momo is a whole nother beast. Mm-hmm. He is a trained comedian that will not take bullshit from anybody. I had to say to myself, you need to kill that person that you want, that you are, in order to become this new person. And I did not see it as being on a TV show. I became a fucking Mayan. Like, and everybody on that show is a Mayan. Like, we are brothers, man. We were like, and think about it, there was a pandemic going on, so we weren't allowed to see anybody but ourselves. So that brought us even closer. I mean, like, I could tell you each guy on that club is my brother for life. It felt that way. And they treated me like a little brother. And I let them, because I was trying to portray myself as Steve would react to them. The first thing I did when I got there, I looked at JD, Easy, plays Easy, and I said, okay, I'm going to act this way whenever JD's around. Even when we're at lunch, I'm going to act like this in front of Easy. I'm going to act like this in front of Emilio. I'm going to act like this in front of Mike Orby. Every Mayan, I had a way to act with them. And that was my actor shit that happened.
Is there someone in your life that you kind of, I don't know, become and draw that kind of inspiration from? Like,
yeah.
Is there someone in your life that you're like, okay, I want to become, because I feel like this is Steve?
Yeah, well, I think Steve is who I would have been if it wasn't for my parents. I have a lot of friends who are in that lifestyle, the clubs, the motorcycle clubs, and the gangs, other clubs. And what separated them from me was the fact that they didn't have that sense of family at home, that they had to go out and find another sense of family. So I was channeling the guys that I knew that didn't have that sense of family, that they would look for a brotherhood. And I said to myself, if it wasn't for my family, according to the formula that I grew up in, I would have been that guy. So I would always try to imagine not having a mom and dad that were there for me. Now, not to make this a little sad story, but I lost my mom in January while I was shooting the show. And when I lost her, that's when the script changed on me. My character got very, very emotional and very dark. It was almost life imitating art. So I really felt like an orphan when that happened. And that helped me, believe it or not. I call that my mom's final gift to me, was giving me that emotion to pull from. The hardest thing was I had to, I didn't want to mourn for my mom yet, because I didn't want to just do it now. So I pretended that I wasn't there anymore. And I was using Steve to live my regular life. Because Steve is not going through a death of a parent. Steve is going through a whole initiation of a club. So I think I was holding on to Steve so much during that time, and it showed on camera. Now, my final day as Steve, when Steve has his final goodbye on the show, I had to lose him again. And when I had to lose another person, I had to lose the guy that was there for me during my mom's death. And for me, that was what was like some actor shit, because I had to really transition into that new, okay, I got to bring Momo back. And the hardest thing was bringing Momo back. You could ask my friends and family, I was a fucking asshole. Ask Hefty. I was an asshole when we were shooting Mayans, because I was just going through so much of Steve's life. Hefty will tell you, Hefty was the only one that knew that I was shooting Mayans because we had to keep it a secret. And I would tell him, like, dude, he would get mad that I wouldn't pick up his calls. He would be like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I can't even explain what I'm going through, you know? And it was deep. It was deep. And then I don't know if you guys saw the ending of Mayans.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you. So, like, you know, and I'm sorry for people who haven't watched it. These are going to be, you know, I'm going to have a
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yes. Right, spoiler alert.
You can turn off don't turn off the Grizzly podcast completely, but this part you can forward through. You kill somebody, or your character does. Yeah. And your character is like, I can't handle this, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is insane, right? So Steve is just like, oh my gosh, right? And there you have a very emotional scene.
Moments before that, Steve kind of told everybody how he felt. I mean, he talked about who he wanted to be, who he was as a member. I mean, he opened up to the whole club, and we saw his rawness. And then the sweet, sensitive dude that was so happy about being a Mayan now has blood on his hands. And he's like, this is everything I never knew I didn't want. You know, then he becomes a Mayan. He gets patched in, which in the ceremony is beautiful because he says not one word. He speaks with his eyes. Like, he's telling you what he feels with his eyes. And that was, for me, like, it's funny when I watch it, I speak about it like he's somebody else, because when I saw it, I was like, damn, I fucking did that. Like, that was weird. I can't believe I was in that.
Like an out-of-body experience or something, right?
It totally was, man. And then he has this moment where he's like, I can't do this, because he sees everyone talking about how glorious it feels to kill somebody. And he's like, this is me now. This is who I'm going to be now. I'm going to be that guy that kills and enjoys it. And that's not why Steve joined the club. That's not why he wanted to be a Mayan. He just wanted fucking brotherhood. He wanted somebody to care for him. He wanted to be part of something big, not destroy things. And you see it in his eyes that whole episode, and he couldn't handle it. He pulls the trigger on himself in front of everybody he loved. He had to end it. He had to end himself.
Yeah.
And now that day, now remember, this character is based on Elgin James's friend. Mm-hmm. So this is real. This really happened to somebody. It was, I mean, shit, I think I blacked out as we shot that, because this is what happened. Moments before we shot the scene. Now, for those of you who don't know really the idea of shooting a scene like that takes about 5 hours, 6 hours, because of camera angles, lighting, makeup, special effects, placement, dialogue, sound, atmosphere, different angles that you have to shoot. So something like that, you have to keep that momentum for those whole 6 hours, maybe even 2 days. So I was crying nonstop that whole time. Those were real tears. Those was not makeup. That was just me being emotional. And the cast honored that. They were quiet the whole time. Some of the extras were crying because they saw how I was just bawling. Before I shot that scene, I wanted that one little moment of intensity in my heart to really portray it. And everybody asked, what did you pull from? I visualized my mom there smiling at me, just smiling, saying like, you better give him what the fuck you got to give him. Eres mi hijo, mi hijo's chingón. Give him what's up. Now, that was too much of a positive motivation. What really got to me is like moments before I shot it, I went up to Elgin. I'm like, Elgin, can we talk for a second? And he's like, yeah, sure. But we're fucking doing a TV show right now, bro. I'm like, yeah, just let me talk to you for like 1 second. And he goes, what's up? I'm like, I look him right in the eye and I say, what do you want to say to me that you never got to say to me? And he told Steve what he had to tell him. And I don't even remember what he said. I tried to zone out, but he told me everything he never got to tell Steve. And that made me emotional. It made him emotional. And that was like, let's fucking shoot this. I'm ready. That's what it took.
Amazing.
To really get in there. And then I see Emilio Rivera shows up. I love Emilio Rivera, by the way. He shows up just to be there for me.
Of course.
Everyone's fucking crying. I mean, because we've all had a Steve in our lives.
Yeah.
We all know a Steve. And I had to really make sure that everybody that felt like a Steve was heard, that had a Steve in their life was her. It's such a fucking beautiful scene. It's sad, but that's what makes it so beautiful is that you want to make sure nobody does that. You know, you want to make sure you're there for somebody going through that. And that means a lot to me. And every actor's dream is to play your own demise. And I think I got it right off the bat. And that's why I feel fucking spoiled in that I have a bar that I have to reach, you know?
I myself did get emotional for the character, man. You know, because like you said, a guy that was just trying to be around people. He's trying to feel accepted. The way it ends, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it just gets so dark so quick, man.
And you want him to be like, you want to see him more now. Like, you're like, fuck, I thought he was going to be a champion on the show. I thought we were going to see him do this. Everybody's like, Momo, are you mad that Steve's not? No, Steve had a purpose. And if you're fucking pissed off that he's not coming back, then I did a good job.
So not only were they your brotherhood on the show, but like you said, they're your family. They were so nurturing to you. And I feel that also is such a blessing.
Edward James Olmos was already my mentor. He was already a friend of mine, but just be on a set with him and just talk shit to him, you know, it was, for me, it was fun. I mean, Richard Cabral does an amazing job this season. I mean, Michael Irby, JD Pardo, Frankie Loya, Raul. I mean, you have Joseph, and you have Rocco. I mean, these guys are my brothers now, you know. They're and then Danny Pino, by the way, is just a fucking sweetheart. Let me just say that. Danny Pino that plays Miguel. Mm-hmm. Danny Pino was there most of the time because he was shadowing the director, and he was that guy that I would go to and give me that just that heartwarming, like, Momo, you did great, you did this. To have these powerhouse actors compliment you, it just makes you feel like you're doing something right. Keep on going that path. And then I have to mention Debbie Mora Munoz, the most amazing writer and producer on Mayans. I mean, a powerhouse Latina right there. I mean, look out for her. She's going to be so much more than she already is. And I'm just proud to have a powerful Latina write words that I get to portray.
Not only was it an important scene, like I mentioned earlier, but it also helps drive the story in another direction too. Like now you're just like, what's next?
I think it shows also how much Easy earned that patch. That not anybody could just earn it. It comes with the price, you know. And Easy is the opposite of Steve. That's what we try to show. You know, I am what Easy could have been if Easy didn't go through the trauma he's been through. That's why Easy was Steve's mentor in a way. Like Steve looked up to Easy, and that one moment where Easy turned his back on Steve is like, well, then if I don't have you, who do I have? You know. Now, let's just say next season's coming up. They're gonna have a bunch of seasons coming up. Steve might not be done. Stories can also go backwards, not just forward. Who knows? We never know. I mean, storytelling is beautiful, and the way these guys tell stories. I mean, now, you know, you'll see more of Momo though coming up on other projects. Which this is the hardest part about doing big shit. You can't talk about it.
It's hard to kind of follow that.
I need to go back to comedy because comedy will help me sell tickets to my stand-up shows. Okay. Nobody wants to go see a guy who shot himself on camera at a comedy show, you know? So I want to go back to comedy. Comedy is my first love. And as a writer, for the first time, I'm writing something for myself, a TV show for myself. I've written a lot of TV shows. Now I get to do my own thing. And that's what I'm bringing. I'm going to bring you me on camera. I've been working on these since I was a kid. And now I have the opportunity to pitch and to show people what I can do. I no longer have to go through what some casting director told me years ago. I can now go by what I create. I have to create my own path. And part of that is creating my own show and my own, like my own just movement. That's the thing. I want to help people who were in my situation that didn't feel like we could be somebody on the TV. Like, I feel like people should be told when they do something good or something bad, especially when they do something bad, because acting is not for everybody, and especially in stand-ups. A lot of stand-up comedians make the worst actors, you know. because they try to portray themselves so much, but never the person they're trying to portray. They want to show who they are so much because they're so into themselves. They're so narcissistic that they want to make sure that we know it's them. That's why it's great to have an opportunity to show that I can do that. And I think I want to give a lot of credit to George Lopez, because Lopez, when he found out I had the part, he actually hired an acting coach for me. I mean, he was like, for me, that was just like Latino unity right there. I mean, for a guy like him to even just spend money on somebody like me to do that for me was beautiful, man. And then that acting coach,
you guys are good friends too, right? So
it's hard to call him my good friend, because you know he'll like talk shit.
Is he like a father figure in a sense? Would you say?
If I do that, he'll talk more shit. But
what is that relationship like?
Right, he's a mentor, and he is that guy that reminds me why I want to do this. I see him as a friend. I will do anything as a friend for him, but I almost feel guilty having him call me a friend, because you know, you got to earn friendship, and I feel like he's done more for me than I've done for him. So that's one of my goals, is to make sure I earn his friendship. You know, you got to give props to somebody who's been through shit that we in the industry now will never have to go through, because he's opened those doors and set that foundation. I just think he's the kind of guy that has been around long enough to appreciate somebody that is about the hustle. And I hope he could see that in me. And till my last days on this earth, I will always be grateful to the example he set. I did this because of him. I was in the industry as a comedian because I saw George. So the relationship, I can call it something beautiful, something, you know, magical, because I never thought it would happen, and kind of forced, because
How did you guys meet?
I broke into his TV studio. I broke into Warner Brothers as a seat filler for a different show. I hid in the bathroom stall for about 3 hours. And then I heard they were going to start seating people for his show. I walked to the lot, planned it out. I almost got arrested. It was a big thing. He ended up meeting me. I ended up going up in front of a studio audience, doing some comedy. Gave me advice to go to the Ice House, and went to the Ice House. Years later, I don't talk to him, and he's having a big old golf tournament. His golf tournaments are legendary, by the way. So I heard about the golf tournament. It was across the street at Lakeside from Warner Brothers. I knew Emilio Rivera was going. I know Emilio for years. So I waited, parked by the entrance till I saw Emilio. And right when Emilio got in there, I parked behind him in the security gate. And Emilio goes in, he checks in. He's like, yeah, I'm here for golf. And I'm behind him, and I go, Emilio, what's up, bro? He's like, you're going to play? I'm like, yeah, I'll see you inside. So that way the security guard can see that I know the guy in front of me.
Awesome.
Right? So you make it.
All right. So it's my turn. And the security goes, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, I'm golf clothes, golf clubs, everything. And I've never played golf, but I have everything with me. Working the dude. And he goes, well, you're not on the list. And he's like, you know what, bro? Just go figure it out inside. They'll straighten you out. Cool. I go inside. I get to the checkup registration. And I'm like, okay, I just need to fucking walk around the golf course and just pretend like I'm belong here. I go into the clubhouse. I see Emilio. Emilio goes, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean, what am I doing? He's like, you weren't invited. I'm like, bro, how do you know? I'm like, Momo, I've known you for a long time. You weren't invited. All right? So don't fucking stand next to me because you think I brought you. I'm like, bro, it's cool. George knows I'm here. And I turn around and George is right there. And he looks at me, he goes, again? Like, he looks at me, he goes, listen, man. He's like, listen, just don't get in the way and have a good time. And by the end of the night, I'm having cigars with George Lopez at his table, chilling with all the celebrities, Andy Garcia, Joe Pesci, Eddie Van Halen. Everybody who's everybody was right there, and I was talking to them. By the end of the night, I ended up becoming George Lopez's social media dude and meme maker.
Wow.
That's you? That was all you?
That was back then. And then I started becoming his friend. Then we started working on projects together, started collaborating. He invited me to shows. He invited me out of town. We'd go to New York. We became like buddies. We, played some golf. I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful friendship. And he just became my Yoda, man. Like, he became that dude that would yell at me when I fucked up. He would, correct me when I was, trying to be too much of something. I mean, I could never ask for a better teacher, and we have a beautiful friendship, man. And we really do, and that's how we met. It was a forced friendship by my part. You want to portray people's art on screen, on stage, that's beautiful, but make sure your life is also an art form worth watching. That's going to get the attention of people. I mean, we're selfish entertainers. We are. We love the spotlight, but we need to learn how to have that spotlight reflect us and reflect onto people below us that are watching us so we can make them grow. Our job is to be a mirror in front of the spotlight to shine on others. That's fucking beautiful. Write that shit down. But it's true. Like we have to be a mirror so people can see themselves in us. Our job is to be the common denominator in the room and make sure everybody feels like they're being heard and equal. I mean, I hope people get that from my performances, from my stand-up, from my, hustle.
And I feel like the more you put out there in the world and the more, more you give, the more the universe kind of brings back to you. I feel like, and you're so grateful. Right.
Thank you
for everything you do. And I think that God blesses people like you and they're going to keep doing it. And I love that you're real and you stay real. Yeah. Put up your boundaries. Don't do every project. And that,
yeah,
but,
of course.
but that doesn't make you a bad person. That just makes you a little bit feeling like, oh, maybe I should be doing it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's who you are.
And you work so hard to get to this level. So Absolutely. You do have the right to say, look, I want to work on this project, but I don't want to work on this project. So, Absolutely. If anybody takes it the wrong way, that's on them. But at this point, you paid your dues, bro. So,
and that's the thing. Like, paying the dues is the most important. I paid dues in comedy. I paid dues in so many things. And nowadays, a lot of comedians don't feel they have to pay dues because they're verified on social media. They feel they're verified as a stand-up on stage. I know a lot of comedians the funniest comedians that I know have no more than 2,000 followers on Instagram. I lost a lot of followers the other day because they found out I'm gonna ride a motorcycle. Yeah.
What?
They thought I was a real biker. I'm like, I'm acting.
Oh, man.
I get hate messages. Why the fuck did you kill yourself? Why did you do that? You had so much going on for you. I'm like, bro, like I'm just.
I know that people would hit me up even to this day. Like, you're not really with Phoenix. Phoenix is one of the characters, and we had a love, like we were a couple on the show. And no, and then they're like, you're with Brian? I'm like, yeah, because we're together, in real life, we have a kid. Oh my, they're so offended, and I'm no, it's acting, it's it's different. Wrestling is completely different, but it is character work. It's not real, guys.
You know who my stuntman was? Who? Chavo Guerrero Jr.
Oh wow, yeah.
Chavo was your stuntman?
Chavo was my stuntman.
Chavo's the guy. He's doing stuff.
Chavo, yeah. Get you on the show if you're watching right now.
Chavo, hit us up, man. Yeah.
Chavo
I'm gonna hit him up. I love Chavo. Chavo was probably one of the he gave me so much advice coming up in the industry. He's just somebody that I really look up to a lot.
You don't know what you look like until there's a buff dude with a fat suit portraying you.
I had no idea. Now we have some notes because I didn't know Chavo. I didn't see him even put that up on his social media.
No, he's stuntman. He's a bunch of different guys.
Yeah, he's doing a couple of things right now on the Young Rock show too.
With the Rock show, yeah.
Yeah, but it's hilarious. I mean, dude,
that's awesome.
It's something and he does a great job. I mean,
he's great.
But that night he was my writing one. I had another guy that his job was to fall. I had another guy that his job was to take hits for me. I mean, it's funny when you see a bunch of momos in fat suits just like looking at you. It's fucking, it was weird, man, because they would do their hair like me. They look exactly like me. I felt so, I don't know, I just felt weird being around them. But that's just, trust me, when somebody tries to dress like you, it's weird. But I'll tell you one thing that I love about the show. I brought home the Mayan cut. Like, I brought this shit home. Like, I was like, after my scene, I just walked with it straight to the car.
Does the studio let you keep it, or
Probably not,
was that an issue?
Listen, bro. I'm Momo fucking Rodriguez.
Okay.
All right. I've done some crazy shit on studios. I had to do this. They have like 3 of them they make per person. One is not gonna go. I'm done this season. They have millions of dollars. I'm sure a beautiful, worn on camera. By the way, nobody is allowed to replicate these. They're protected, and it's my size. You know, I'm a Mayan. I'm one of the only Santo Padre Mayans. I have the title of a Mayan. Why not bring it home? I'm working on another character right now, so it's kind of like you gotta it took me a while to let go of Steve. It took me about like maybe a few months, like 3 months to let go of Steve.
What was that process like?
Well, during the 6 months that I was Steve, I wore a Mayan's shirt every day. Like, I wore different types of Mayans, hoodies, Mayan hats, Mayan everything, because you wanted to be part of this club, this organization. Everywhere I went, I was Mayans this, Mayans that. I was into the motorcycle culture. I dressed a certain way. I dressed like a biker. And then once we wrapped, I missed it. I missed feeling like I was part of the club. And little by little, I would just wear different things. I would go back to my goofy self. And it was hard. Like, even I think the other day was the last time I started wearing my chain. I had a chain on my wallet. I think I stopped wearing it last week because it reminded me too much of Steve. And I stopped wearing certain shoes, certain boots. And you know what, man? I was trying to pick fights with people. That was me. I always had this, like, is that motherfucker looking at us? Why is he looking at us? Like, I had that, like, I would sit in a room. I would sit in the back to make sure I saw the exits. Like, I became that guy for a while. I don't know, man. I just feel like you have to really portray a person to really give them an authentic look. Dude, acting is easy when you just deliver a line. But when you have to think on camera, it's harder.
Yeah.
So in order to think on camera, I had to believe this was really happening. So look at Steve towards the last few episodes. He's just thinking on camera. He's not even talking. And that was the hardest part, having to think, okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. 14 takes, me just thinking. I mean, your mind, yeah, you come home drained, and you believe it. You start to notice every little thing that this person would notice. And then now, like, maybe like it's been a few months out of it. Now I'm working on a different character. So now I have to get his vibe. Mm-hmm. He's a little more paisa, so I have to get into that paisa vibe. So my house has been banda like crazy, That's the process, man. And I hope that whatever comes next, and I know what it is, but I just can't say it. You guys are there to watch what happens. I want you guys to talk to me after and see if you could see the transition from Steve to this next character.
We would love that. We would absolutely.
Yeah, that would
and
be
then
great.
go watch me on stage too, because that's a whole other person too.
Acting is one thing, but stand-up comedy, I feel, is hella challenging, man. That's difficult to do. Like, I want to ask you, as a stand-up comedian, man, where do you draw your inspiration from? Is it life experiences? Is it people you know? Talk to us about that, man.
Comedy to me is tragedy plus time. Being a comedian for my style has always been observational, but now that I'm working with guys like George, the Kings of Comedy, all these guys, I realized that I was just trying to make people laugh by saying something funny. I never realized that I can have a voice in it. So working with these guys, I've learned to create a voice for myself. And I think I'm finally, after 15 years, ready to shoot my first special. A lot of guys shoot their special early in the game. I wanted to make sure when I shot it, it represented me and was about me. That way nobody could be like it. I'm going to honestly just have a fucking conversation with you. And that's my stand-up. It is not up there. You ever wonder why dogs bark at cars? Like, that's not me, bro. That's not. I am just going to fucking talk to you and we're going to have a conversation. It might have 1,000 people in the room as we have it, but it's going to feel like only you are talking to me and I'm talking to you. That's my kind of comedy. So I think that's where it comes from. It comes from sincerity. It comes from honesty. It comes from my life worries. I think somebody gave me a beautiful quote about my stand-up recently. They're like, my stand-up is the most vulnerable stand-up they've ever seen. I put myself out there for you, but not where you have to feel sorry for me. I try to have you relate to me and be like, I'm going through what he's going through, man or woman. And then we get to heal together. The most funniest things are things that touch you right here versus right here.
My sister, man, I was telling Melissa about this before we did the interview. She's such a big fan of yours, man. Like, she was literally hitting me up as soon as she found out that I was doing this interview with you. She's like, man, she said, there's so many questions that you should ask and this and that. She was actually trying to go to the show that you recently had at the Haha Comedy Club in NoHo, but she just told me that she had messaged you and that you're so involved with your fans and how you interact with them. And I think a lot of people, they just find that so cool of you to do because you're still someone that can relate.
Well, the way I feel, if you're going to spend $30 to watch me talk, I kind of want to make sure that, you know, you're being heard too. You know, and the biggest issue that we have as Latinos is that it's hard for clubs to give us our own night. So whenever they do give us a night, I want to make sure the transition is easy for anybody to get the proper attention to get a ticket. You know, the best problem I've had so far is being sold out. Yeah, it's a good problem to have. So whenever somebody says, hey, I want to go to your show, but it's sold out, I'm like, it feels good that you're saying that to me, but I feel bad because now I don't want to lose you by me not caring about that. You know, I want you to go. Since the pandemic, every single show that we've done has been sold out.
Yeah.
You know, which is beautiful. It never happened before.
I mean, that's good. You know?
Yeah, it's great. It's a great problem to have. But I remember telling everybody, look, it's not me not doing more shows. It's the clubs that are still weird about having a Latino on a weekend. We're the ones doing free shows, you know. So when we do a paid show, nobody wants to come because they'll just come to our free show.
And that's why you have to set up those boundaries. And I think that's beautiful that you're doing that, because in setting your boundaries, you're erecting boundaries for other Latinos who feel like they can't set them themselves because they're just starting or whatever.
Yeah. And they value you. I mean, you have to value people. You have to show them their value. Some woman and her mom drove all the way from Phoenix to see me in North Hollywood. And she brought me a birthday cake because it was my birthday that weekend. And I was like, wow, like, she's like, oh, thank you for, you know, replying. I'm like, you want to thank me for replying? You drove from Phoenix with the birthday cake. And that's the best part of all this, is to know that people are moving for me. I mean, that's the thing. Now, when I do a stand-up show, it's not me and my friends coming to see me. Now it's fans coming to see me. And now I will stay till the end, take a picture with everybody, talk to everybody, look them in the eyes, you know, and just tell them, thank you for being here. Thank you for thinking that my story is worth paying for. I mean, that for me, I will never leave a comedy show if there's people who want to talk to me, say hi to me. Because if they listen to me for an hour on stage, be personal, I can at least say hi or shake their hand or hear a little bit about their story. It's one of my favorite parts to hear about people coming to see me, because that helps me as a writer too. I want to know what I am a student of the human emotion. I'm a writer of the human emotion. I love hearing about the human emotion. So everybody is worth something. And give your sister my thanks. Tell her I said thank you so much for having an interest and tell her to come to a show. And if she has any issues with it, tell her to tell her brother to give me a call and I'll hook it up. Come on.
There you go. Hey, we'll definitely make it happen. I'd love.
Hey, but don't have to bring
show.
everybody. That's like 20 people.
I wanted to demonstrate the fact that you haven't changed, bro. Like you're a real ass dude. You're authentic as hell, man. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, the fact that, you know, she can hit you up and you can respond to her, that just shows the type of person that you are. That, you know, you're very, you appreciate all your fans. You appreciate them just kind of, you know, taking an interest in your work. And that's why I think you're such an important person to be part of this show as well, because the Grizzly Podcast is that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we do here. We focus on people that are constantly on their grind. They're constantly on their hustle, and never forget where they came from. And you're that person, bro. So the fact that you're doing all these major things, man, we're so happy for you.
Oh, I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate for you guys having the strength and just the balls to say, you know what? We're doing our own podcast. We're going to put our voices out there.
Momo, thank you so much for being a part of the Grizzly Podcast. We appreciate you coming on and talking to us about everything from the Mayans to your stand-up comedy and
to my
menstrual
cycle, everything.
You know, make sure you guys check out the Paragordo Activity Podcast. Plug the Instagram for that as well.
It's on all. It's you know, Paragordo Activity on all platforms. We're on every single platform on podcast. And we love to have people send us messages about their paranormal experiences and about their paranormal thoughts. And, you know, we are here not to make fun. As crazy as it sounds, we will listen to you and make fun of you later.
There you go. And guys, make sure if you're in the area, if you're in California, if you're in the San Fernando Valley, make sure you guys come out on June 26th. Momo's going to be over at the Haha Comedy Club in North Hollywood. That's NoHo. Right. So make sure you guys pull up, get your tickets.
Tickets are available now at thehahacomedy.com. Get your tickets. Go to my social media. You'll find all the information there. And you'll find little treats and spoilers of what's coming up in the Momo realm.
Also July 28th, right?
July 28th at the Brea. It falls in Orange County, California. Okay. The Brea Improv, which is going to be, by the way, I have a lot of Mayan brothers that show up to these shows. And you never know who's going to show up.
Yeah.
I have a lot of mentors and celebrities that like to come and talk shit with me. So every show, every hour that we perform, it's memorable and it's original and it's different. So if you were to buy a ticket to each show, it'll be a different show. If there's no room, we'll make room, because that's what raza is. I want everybody to be able to enjoy a night out. You know, we've been through so much this year. Everybody, let's get together and laugh about it with our mask off or on, however you feel comfortable. Just come out and have a good time and hear us talk shit.
Yeah, Momo, thank you so much for being a part of the show, bro. We'll be in touch with you. And make sure you guys check out everything he's got going on, the comedy shows, the Paragordo Activity Podcast, and everything else he's doing in the acting world. He's got so much going on, so make sure you guys tap in with him.
Check it out. Check out my Pornhub. It's going to be cracking.
Thank you so much, Momo. All right. Later. Take care, brother. Be safe.
Take care.
Get it, pop. Let's get it.
Yo, that's what I'm talking about. Yo, turn it up.
Hard work, dedication, and progress. Stay on your Grizzly.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out another Grizzly Podcast episode. We'll see you next time.